You ever hear a song that shows up like a pickup truck at a quiet crossroads? That's what Copperhead Road felt like the first time it hit. A banjo at the front door, and then, before you know it, an electric riff stomping through like a riot. Right away, people started arguing about whether it was country at all.
Curious. Yeah, and that's the part that gets me. Most folks knew Steve Earle as a rough-edge songwriter, but this record actually forced listeners and programmers to choose a lane. 1988 felt like one country, and Earle walked in with both boots on.
I'm James. Welcome back to Ranch Beat. Every country song has a story, and we tell it. Today, we're digging into Copperhead Road, how a stomping banjo, a snarling electric guitar, and a story about moonshine and veterans turned into a song that split rooms and built bridges.
Stick with us. Quick essentials. Copperhead Road, Steve Earle, United States, 1988. One-line vibe, outlaw stomp that braids bluegrass grit with rock electricity.
So, let's roll it back. This began as regional storytelling. Appalachian moonshine lore, family lines that pass down ways to survive. Earle took that soil and planted a modern wound in it. Veterans returning from Vietnam, carrying skills and scars that didn't fit neatly back home.
Right. Most folks don't know he pulled from both old tales and contemporary reporting, folding in image and fact so the song reads like folklore and headline at once. That mix made it resonate with people who'd never heard an Appalachian story before.
Listen to how the lyrics work. Not a laundry list, but tiny details that open a whole life. Leaving home, learning how to move things that weren't exactly legal. The idea of being gone long as both exile and survival. That economy of language makes the character feel lived in.
And that ambiguity matters. A line about leaving can sound like escape, exile, or simply the only way forward. Listeners put themselves into that blank, and that's how a regional tale turns universal.
Okay, confession. I used to stumble quoting a line on air. No more. The point is this. The chorus works like a promise and a burying of the past at the same time. That vocal decision, delivered low and steady, sells the narrative before the band even opens up.
Let's talk players for a second. Steve wrote it, and he shaped the record's vision, but this wasn't a solo workshop. The band and session players made the sound feel inevitable. The arrangement puts banjo forward early, then locks the drums and electric guitar into a marching pulse, so the transition feels like an answer, not a battle. You can almost hear the engineer deciding how raw they wanted that first banjo to sound.
Exactly. That banjo isn't polite. It's aggressive, almost percussive. And when the electric riff cuts in, it's like two generations arguing across the mix. That decision in the studio was a gamble. Some folks thought they were gluing genres, but the mix made it feel like a single angry voice.
Quick production note. The record credits and exact session personnel are details we'd put in the show notes so listeners can check the liner credits. The important part on air is how those players could swing bluegrass touch and rock power without sounding stitched together.
Fair point. I'll say it plain. We want the facts right. Check the notes for producer and session names, but what you hear is the stump and the story fused. That's what made programmers uncomfortable.
Hold on. When you say uncomfortable, do you mean stations banned it? Because I hear that word tossed around a lot, and it's stronger than the truth.
Good catch. Not a nationwide ban. That was sloppy talk. More accurate, several programmers in conservative formats hesitated to add it, unsure where to file it. A few markets did give it little play early on, but touring crowds and college stations embraced it hard and fast, which is why the story matters. Grassroots energy pushed it forward.
Live was where it became undeniable. Fans shouted back family stories, the bridge turned into a chant, and those performances made programmers look at actual demand instead of format rules. That crowd reaction functioned like a second single.
Let's break one musical moment down. The track opens with banjo rhythm as motif, then the electric guitar answers with a repeating riff that rides the verses like a second pulse. The drums push a steady, military-like march under it all. Not accidental, given the song's soldier imagery. The effect is cinematic, small, local details underscored by a larger, almost militant groove.
And that cinematic feel explains its reach. Covers and reworks landed in different camps. Folk acts leaned into the banjo, rock bands cranked the riff, and Americana artists pointed to it as proof you could honor roots while pushing sonics. It nudged record labels and younger musicians to experiment.
Why did this song stick? Because it made listeners complicit. You hear the outlaw, but also feel how survival looks from the inside. It's messy empathy. You want the character to make it, even when he's doing things that land on both sides of the law.
One small legacy note. Critics later pointed to it as a hinge moment for alt-country and Americana. It wasn't the only factor, obviously, but it showed that blending roots instruments with heavier production could speak to a broader audience without selling out the story.
Before we wrap, favorite quick anecdote? Early on, Steve would play shows and people would shout out pieces of their own lives. That's my road too. And suddenly, the song wasn't just his observation. It had become communal. Music does that. Hands you a map, and people plant their flags on it.
And the practical bit, we put exact credits, peak chart positions, and a few source links in the episode notes. So if you want the producer name, session players, or the specific markets that were slow to add the track, check those links. We keep the audio tight and put receipts in the notes.
All right. If something clicked for you today, subscribe and tell us which line or moment from Copperhead Road landed hardest. Sam, quick closer?
Tell us the next country song you want us to unpack. Any country except Thailand, and we'll dig into the story. Thanks for listening.
This is Ranch Beat, where every country song has a story, and we tell it.